I've always been invisible. The quiet girl in the corner, the one everyone overlooks at parties, in classrooms, in life. My voice is small, my presence smaller, and I've spent years thinking that was my weakness. Until the night I met him. Julian. His eyes found me in a crowded room, but it wasn't just curiosity, it was recognition. And when he handed me a folded piece of paper with a warning I couldn't understand, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't just being noticed. I was being chosen. And suddenly, my shyness, the thing I'd thought kept me invisible, became my greatest weapon. One step, one decision, one leap of courage, and my quiet life shattered. The world I had known was gone, replaced by shadows, whispers, and a power I didn't know I had. By the time I realized my shyness was actually my superpower, there was no turning back. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for intriguing stories. I had always thought of myself as invisible. At parties, I lingered at the edges, a ghost among laughter and clinking glasses. My voice was quiet, my presence easily overlooked. But that night, in the warm glow of the candlelit library where the city's most curious minds gathered, I discovered something I never expected. He was there. Julian. His aura was impossible to ignore, magnetic, electric, but he didn't notice anyone but me. Or perhaps he had noticed me all along. I had spent years shrinking, hiding behind my hair and quiet smiles, but when our eyes met across the room, the world seemed to shrink around us. "I've seen you before," he said, his voice low, carrying a weight that made my heart stutter. "Not in places like this. Somewhere else." I tried to speak, but my voice faltered. Usually, this would have been a moment to disappear into the shadows, to let the mystery pass. But something in his gaze held me in place, daring me to step closer. "Do you know me?" I whispered, finally finding my courage. He smiled, mysterious, dangerous, and handed me a small, folded piece of paper. On it was a single sentence, written in a script I didn't recognize. "If you follow me, you'll see what you were never meant to see, but you'll also lose everything you know." My pulse quickened. I should have left. I should have crumpled the paper and walked away. But the quiet part of me, the part everyone called timid, the part one had always thought was weak, recognized something I hadn't understood until that moment. My shyness had made me observant, patient, invisible in ways that could be powerful. And that power was what had made him trust me. Julian turned and walked toward the back of the library, his coat sweeping behind him. The room seemed to tilt, as if the universe itself was urging me to follow. My hand shook as I reached for the door, my heartbeat deafening in my ears. And then I saw it, on the wall, reflected in the glass of a towering window. A shadow not his own. A presence I could not explain. It moved silently, watching, waiting, and suddenly I realized I was not following Julian alone. The night swallowed me, and the library doors clicked shut behind me, leaving only one question in my mind. Who or what had been waiting for me all along? The alley behind the library smelled of rain and mystery. Julian moved with effortless grace, his silhouette cutting through the fog like a blade of light in darkness. I followed, heart hammering, every step fueled by a mixture of fear and something dangerously thrilling. "Why are you bringing me here?" I asked, my voice steadier than I expected. He didn't answer. Instead, he paused beneath a flickering street lamp, and I finally saw it, the shadow I had glimpsed in the library window. It wasn't just a trick of light. It was a person, or something that looked like a person, cloaked in black from head to toe, moving in absolute silence. "You saw it too," Julian said, his tone calm but edged with warning. I nodded, unable to tear my eyes away. The figure's movements were deliberate, almost predatory, as if it had been expecting me for years. Suddenly, it stepped forward, and a glimmer of silver caught the dim light. A mask. "Who are you?" I demanded, my courage blooming from the same quiet strength I had always thought was a flaw. The shadow didn't answer. Instead, it pointed directly at me, slow and deliberate. My stomach dropped. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but I couldn't. Not now. Not when I had discovered that my invisibility, the trait I had hidden behind for so long, was what had drawn them to me. Julian stepped in front of me, his hand brushing mine in a protective, yet intimate gesture. "You have no idea what you're capable of," he said, eyes locked on the shadow. "But they do. And that's why we can't hesitate." The shadow tilted its head, and a voice, sharp and melodic, cut through the mist. "You finally realized, haven't you? That shyness is power. But power comes with a price." Before I could respond, the figure lunged forward with impossible speed. Julian pulled me behind him, and in that instant, I felt something awaken inside me. A calm clarity, a sudden awareness of the space, the patterns, the subtle movements around us. Every whispered sound, every flicker of light, every shadow became a language I could understand. And then, as the shadow's mask nearly grazed my arm, a voice inside my head, not Julian's, not the shadow's, spoke, clear as daylight. "You are the key. But if you choose wrong, no one will survive." Julian's eyes met mine, wide with something I couldn't name. Fear? Respect? Something more. I took a deep breath, feeling the quiet strength that had always been my secret armor, and stepped forward. The shadow paused, and everything, the fog, the night, Julian, even the city itself, seemed to hold its breath. And then it whispered a single word that froze my blood. "Finally." The word, finally, hung in the air, heavier than any night I had ever known. The shadow stepped closer, and for the first time, I saw its face. Not a face, really, but a shifting mask of light and darkness that seemed to read my very soul. Julian's grip on my hand tightened. "You need to listen," he said, urgency threading his words. "This isn't just about us. Whoever, or whatever, that is, it's been waiting for you. Not me. You." I swallowed hard, heart racing. I had always been the quiet one, the observer, the girl who hid in corners and let the world rush past. And yet, here I was, the center of something far bigger than I could comprehend. The shadow's voice echoed in my mind now, soft, teasing, dangerous. "Shyness is only power if you claim it. Step forward, or step aside, and everything you love will be lost." Something inside me stirred. All the years of hiding, of shrinking, of letting my voice go unheard, they had trained me. I realized then that my quiet observation had made me the only one who could see the truth. The patterns, the hidden movements, the whispers of danger that others ignored, they were all clear to me. I drew in a steadying breath. "I won't step aside," I said aloud. My voice, though soft, carried authority. The shadow seemed to pause, intrigued. Julian's eyes widened. "Are you sure? Once you do this, there's no turning back." I nodded. That's it. The moment of doubt passed, replaced by clarity. I took a step forward. The air around me shifted. Time itself seemed to slow. The shadow raised a hand, and suddenly I was engulfed in a swirl of darkness and light, a storm of memories that weren't mine, of warnings, of possibilities. And in the eye of that storm, I saw him, Julian, struggling, being pulled into some invisible force. "No!" I screamed, heart in my throat. I reached out, but the storm surged between us. The voice inside my head, calm and certain, whispered again, "Trust your power. Trust yourself." I closed my eyes and let the quiet strength, the shyness that had once made me invisible, expand into something fierce, something unshakable. I could feel the threads of the world around me, the fragile line between shadow and light, life and loss. And just as the shadow leaned in, the storm reached its peak. A blinding flash of silver erupted from my chest, and Julian's grip was yanked from mine. When I opened my eyes, the shadow was gone. The street was empty. The fog had vanished. But the echo of its last words lingered. "You are the key, but the door has just opened." And then, across the empty street, I saw it. A figure waiting, cloaked in black, Julian nowhere in sight, and a doorway carved into the very wall of the city, glowing with an otherworldly light. I realized, with a chill that sank to my bones, stepping forward had been only the beginning. And the real test was about to begin. The glowing doorway loomed before me, impossible and alive, like it had been carved from moonlight and shadows. The city around it was eerily silent, as if holding its breath. And Julian, he was gone. My heart ached, but there was no time to dwell. The voice in my head whispered again, calm and insistent. Shyness is not weakness. Shyness is the key. I had always hidden, observed, listened, never acted. But now, all that quiet patience, all the moments of invisibility, became my compass. I stepped forward. The air inside the doorway shimmered, like a liquid mirror, reflecting not my face, but everything I had feared, everything I had hidden from the world. "Hello," a voice said from within the doorway. Not Julian's. The shadows. But softer now, almost human. "You've come far. Farther than anyone imagined. But to save him, you must choose." I faltered. "Choose what?" "Your power," it said. "You can enter and rescue him, but doing so will awaken something inside you, something that cannot be undone. Or you can stay here, live quietly as you always have, and he will be lost forever." The weight of the choice was crushing. Every instinct screamed to run, to remain invisible, safe. But my heart refused. I thought of Julian, of the first moment our eyes met in that library, of all the small, hidden strengths I had always ignored. I had a power no one else could wield, my quiet observation, my patience, my ability to see what others could not. "I'll go in," I said, my voice steady. The doorway pulsed, welcoming, alive. I stepped across the threshold. Instantly, the world shifted. Shadows twisted into shapes I couldn't name. Whispers wrapped around me like smoke, testing me, probing for fear. I focused on Julian, on the faint memory of his hand brushing mine, on the warmth of his eyes. And then I saw him, trapped in a crystalline cage of light, suspended above an endless void. He reached out, voice breaking, "Don't stop me." I reached back with everything I had. Everything I had ever been. The shyness, the quiet observation, the patient heart that had waited in corners while the world rushed by. I poured it all into a single thought. I can do this. I will not fail. The cage cracked. The shadows recoiled. Julian's hand brushed mine again, but this time he wasn't pulled away. He was coming with me. And then the doorway shifted. I realized with a chill that made my stomach drop. It wasn't just a doorway. It was a gate. A passage to something vast, ancient, alive, and it had been waiting for me to open it. Behind us, the city vanished. Below us, the void stretched endlessly. And the voice of the shadow, now echoing from everywhere, said one final thing, dripping with both awe and menace. "Welcome, keyholder, your real test begins now." The void stretched endlessly beneath our feet, but it didn't feel empty. It thrummed with a quiet, dangerous energy, like the heartbeat of a world that had waited centuries for someone like me. Julian clutched my hand, his eyes wide with equal parts fear and awe. "Where are we?" he whispered. "I think this is the world the shadow was guarding," I replied, voice trembling but firm. "The one no one ever sees. I think I'm the key." The moment I said it, the air shifted. Shapes emerged from the darkness. Towers of crystal that bent light like liquid, rivers of silver fire, forests of shadows that whispered secrets in a language I felt rather than heard. It was beautiful, terrifying, alive. The voice returned, omnipresent now, reverberating through the world itself. "Keyholder, every choice you make here shapes more than one reality. One wrong step, and everything you love, and everything you've ever known, will be erased." Julian's grip tightened. "We'll face it together," he said. "I trust you." Something in me swelled. This was the moment I had been hiding for all my life. The quiet, the observation, the patience, they weren't weaknesses. They were power. And now I had to use them. We moved forward, guided by threads of silver light that seemed to respond to my very thoughts. Every step revealed glimpses of others trapped here before us. Shadowed figures, lost souls, maybe even remnants of those who had failed the key. Their eyes flickered with hope or despair, reminding me that what I was about to do mattered far more than I could yet imagine. Then I saw it. A massive gate, more intricate than the first, its surface alive with writhing symbols. And in front of it stood the shadow, no longer hiding, no longer silent. It raised its masked face, and I understood. This was the real test. Key holder, it said, voice now layered with admiration and warning. Behind this gate lies what you have been preparing for your entire life. But beware, the power within tests not just skill, but heart. Only those willing to face themselves can pass. Julian looked at me. We can do this. Together. I took a deep breath, feeling the familiar calm of shyness transform into a radiant focus. This was my moment. The moment I realized that being quiet, unnoticed, patient, had been preparing me for this exact instant. I reached out, and the gate responded, glowing brighter with every heartbeat. But as it slowly began to open, a chill ran down my spine. From within, I glimpsed a figure, a reflection of me, but darker, twisted, with eyes that burned with anger and fear. The voice whispered one last warning. To claim the power, you must face yourself. Fail, and you will become the shadow you fear. Julian squeezed my hand. I'm not going anywhere. I nodded, heart racing. And then I stepped through, into the unknown. The moment I stepped through the gate, the world shifted violently. Light fractured into shards, and sound became a chorus of whispers, each one calling my name. And there, standing before me, was me, but not me. Darker, taller, eyes burning with every fear I had ever suppressed. Finally, she said, her voice a twisted mirror of my own. I've been waiting for you, the quiet one, the invisible one, to face what you truly are. Julian's hand was still in mine, grounding me. We're in this together, he said. I nodded, focusing. All the moments I had thought were weaknesses, the shyness that made me silent, the patience that made me wait, were the tools I needed now. I closed my eyes, letting the world fall away. I listened, the patterns of movement, the flow of energy, the faint pulse of the gate itself. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't afraid. I stepped forward. I am more than what you think I am. I said to my dark reflection, you are only a shadow of me, and I am the key holder. I have seen, I have waited, I have endured, and that is my power. The reflection laughed, a sound like shattering glass. She lunged at me, and suddenly the space between us exploded into light and shadow. Every fear, every doubt, every secret part of myself I had hidden for years was laid bare, and I drew it all together, letting it fuel me instead of weaken me. I felt something awaken inside me, raw and fierce. The gate responded. Symbols glowed brighter. Shadows recoiled. And then, with a surge of energy I had never known I possessed, I reached out, touching the dark reflection with everything I had. For a moment, it seemed she would overwhelm me. But then, clarity. I realized that the shadow wasn't an enemy. It was a part of me, the part one had ignored, the part one had hidden away in corners while the world moved on. And I embraced it not as a weakness, but as power. The dark figure shuddered, then dissolved into light that merged with me, expanding outward. The gate pulsed once, twice, and then opened fully, revealing a vast world of light and possibility beyond anything I had imagined. Julian looked at me, awestruck. You did it. I smiled, though my heart was still racing. No, we did it. But even as relief washed over me, a whisper echoed in the air, cold and deliberate. The key has awakened, but so have they. And the real trial has only just begun. Behind us, the gate shimmered, hinting at other worlds, other challenges, other shadows waiting to test the keyholder. I tightened my grip on Julian's hand. Whatever lay ahead, I realized one undeniable truth. My shyness, my quiet patience, my years of invisibility, had been my superpower all along. And now nothing, not fear, not shadow, not the unknown, could stop me. The world beyond the gate was alive in ways I could barely comprehend. Rivers of light flowed like liquid crystal, forests of shadow whispered secrets in a language I could feel more than hear, and the sky shifted colors with each heartbeat. Julian stayed close, his presence grounding me, but I could sense something lurking, watching, testing. The voice returned, familiar now but carrying a deeper weight. Keyholder, your power has awakened. But awakening is only the beginning. Beyond this world lies a trial that will challenge not only your strength, but your heart. I swallowed, feeling the pulse of the world beneath my feet. Everything I had learned, every moment of shyness, every observation, every quiet patience, was my weapon now. But what kind of trial awaited? Julian squeezed my hand. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. I nodded. But before we could take a step forward, the shadows in the distance coalesced into figures, tall, imposing, their eyes glowing like embers. They moved as one, but each carried a presence that felt intimately familiar, as though they were fragments of people I had known, twisted by some unseen force. "They're echoes," I whispered, heart racing. "Reflections of the past, the people the key has lost or will lose." One stepped forward, voice calm but chilling. "Keyholder. We have been waiting. Only by confronting us, by facing the parts of the world and yourself you fear most, can you claim the power you were destined for." A sudden understanding hit me. The world beyond the gate wasn't just a place. It was a test. A crucible designed to strip me of fear, doubt, and hesitation. Only by stepping fully into myself, embracing both light and shadow, could I survive. Julian tightened his grip. "You can do this," he said. "I believe in you." I drew a deep breath, feeling the quiet strength that had always been my superpower bloom into something luminous, unstoppable. The echoes advanced, and I realized, each step forward would force me to confront not only the dangers around me, but the doubts I had buried for years, the moments I had stayed silent, the fears I had let define me. And yet, for the first time in my life, I felt ready. I met Julian's gaze. "Stay with me," I said. "Always," he replied. I stepped forward, letting the echoes close in. And as they did, a shiver ran through me, because in the corner of my vision, beyond the advancing shadows, I glimpsed a new figure, cloaked in gold, watching everything, smiling. The voice whispered once more, with a tone of finality and menace. "Keyholder, the real game begins now." The air crackled. The world trembled. And I realized with a thrill that this was only the first of many trials, that the path of the keyholder was just beginning, and nothing would ever be the same again. The echoes closed in, their forms flickering between familiar faces and monstrous distortions. Each step I took made my chest tighten, but I forced myself to breathe, to focus. Every quiet observation I had honed in my life, the way shadows moved, the subtle cues of emotion, the hidden patterns of danger, was now my weapon. Julian stayed close, his presence steadying me. "Remember," he said, voice low, "fear is what they want. Don't give it to them." I nodded, feeling the truth of his words sink in. Fear had been my prison for years. Now it would not control me. The first echo stepped forward. It looked exactly like my younger self, timid, eyes downcast, hands fidgeting. "You can't," it whispered, voice trembling. "You'll fail, you'll ruin everything." I swallowed, heart aching. That had been me, years of hiding, shrinking from the world, letting life pass by. But now I saw the choice clearly: embrace that fear or transform it. "I am not afraid," I said, voice steady. The moment I spoke, a faint glow spread from my chest, the same luminous energy I had felt when I confronted my dark reflection. The echo faltered, shrinking back, its whispers drowned out by the pulsing light. Another echo appeared, a shadow of someone I had once trusted, twisted by betrayal. Its eyes burned with anger. "You will never protect him. You are weak." Julian stepped forward, placing his hand on my shoulder. "You're stronger than you think," he said. "Together, we can face anything." The words, simple yet full of conviction, anchored me. I realized that my quiet patience, my long years of observing and listening, had prepared me for this moment. Not loud, not brash, just focused, aware, and willing to act. I let my energy flow outward, and the echoes staggered, dissolving into shadows. The remaining echoes hissed and lunged as one, but I held my ground. I felt a surge of power, a connection to the world around me, and realized, the gate, the shadows, the trials, they responded to me. My shyness, my silence, my patience, it wasn't just my superpower. It was the key to shaping this world. And yet, even as I began to dominate the trial, a chill ran down my spine. From the corner of my vision, I saw the figure in gold, the one who had been watching, smiling. Its presence pulsed with anticipation, as if waiting for me to reach a breaking point. The first trial was only the beginning, and the keyholder had yet to see the full scope of what awaited. I turned to Julian, resolve burning in my chest. "Are you ready?" He nodded, eyes full of trust and something deeper, a promise, a bond forged in the storm of shadows. "Then let's finish this," I said. And with that, we plunged into the trial, the echoes screaming, the world trembling, and the figure in gold observing everything, smiling. The echoes surged, a tidal wave of fear, doubt, and memories twisted into monstrous forms. The ground beneath us rippled, the sky shivering with energy, and the air thickened.